Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone at home. Welcome everyone in the room. Today is Wednesday, March 29th. This is the Bangor School Committee regular meeting. It is a little past 7. City Council got out late, so it's not our fault. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda, Superintendent Tager?
Yes, Chair Huston, if you look at item J, we are rescheduling the executive session for 0412.
Can I get a motion, please? Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Passes 7-0. Thank you. I've got Sarah on Zoom.
Sarah.
We do. Yep, we do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Member Surratt. Member Sorg.
Yes.
Member Mundell.
Yes.
Member Sprague.
Yes.
Member Jandro.
Yes.
Member Luciano.
Yes.
And yes for
Passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. And on to public comments. And just as a reminder, members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on school and education matters. Complaints or allegations concerning specific employees or students will not be allowed, but will be addressed through established policies and procedures. Public comments shall be directed to the school committee and be brief and not repetitive. The school committee's practice is not to respond or debate with speakers during the public comment period. The superintendent or his staff will follow up on comments outside of the meeting as appropriate. And before starting, please state your name and place of residence. And do we have any public comments? Yes, please proceed. No. There's a button on it. Is that good?
Push. Okay, how's that?
Now we
Thanks. Sorry. My name is Pamela Prue Curry. I'm president of the board of directors of the Maine Multicultural Center, and I'm here in that capacity. I live in Old Town, but the Maine Multicultural Center offices are here in Bangor. And so I just would like to speak in support of, I know that you're considering your budget at this time. And I just would like to speak in support of the importance of multilingual learning in the Bangor Public Schools. In 2020, we worked with 13 families, 45 individuals, so that was 19 children that were mainly in the Bangor Public Schools. In 2022, we had 18 families, 64 individuals, 28 of whom were children. These were mostly asylum seekers. Asylum seekers continue to come to the Bangor area and to bring children with them. And starting in the beginning of this year, refugees started getting resettled in the area. And since the beginning of the year, really, since late January, we've had 4 families that have come, 21 individuals, 14 of them children, some young children, but will eventually be in the schools. And we're still anticipating 10 more individuals, 7 of whom will be children. And this is just refugees. That would bring us to 21 children. It would be about 2/3 of the allocation where we've been allocated for this year through the end of September, 50 individuals. So we'll have 31 when this last family arrives. We still have asylum seekers coming, and I think we'll start to see more of those as Portland's having a hard time figuring out how to house them, and had some conversations with us about, well, do you think you could take some asylum seekers if they were to come this way? I think you'll see them more maybe in Augusta first and then Waterville, but eventually kind of making their way up here. And then that doesn't take into consideration the professional voluntary immigrants that are coming to the area to work at places like Northern Light Health or at the university. And some of them come and their children are English speaking, but a large number of them have children, although their skills, language skills are enough for them to get a job, their children aren't always able to do that. And so, we see that this is going to be, I guess, requiring more and more resources. And it's kind of a fundamental need that if children aren't getting the language skills that they need, then, they can't be successful in school, and then they don't become successful individuals in society. So time to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you. Any other? Yep.
Good evening. My name is Michael Beck and I live at 10 Linden Street here in Bangor. During a presentation on January 11th, the possibility of purchasing a new live video board for Cameron Stadium was discussed, which has raised some concerns. First, the cost of $500,000 is a significant amount for a nice to have feature. Although the idea was to fundraise for the board, such a high amount will require district resources. Given that some budget cuts are already being made, investing resources in fundraising for entertainment purposes may not be a wise decision. Second, there is a concern regarding advertising. The board was presented as a source of revenue through advertisements, but studies have shown that advertising can have harmful effect on children's critical thinking and impulse control. Parents can only do so much to shield their children from advertisements in our society, and public schools should be a place where children are not exposed to them. Daktronics, the company chosen for the scoreboard, appears to be focused on advertising themes. If my kids join the audio visual program with this board, would they have to scroll past the beer and tobacco templates in the display software for the board while looking for the proper template they wanted to use? If a modern scoreboard is desired, it may be worth considering tapping into Husson University's excitement for the project and have them do the fundraising. Additionally, it's important to avoid advertisements on the board to allow students to focus on their education and their activities without being exposed to potentially harmful advertisements. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Norton. This is my main care card and a good bill of health from my primary care provider, which I was able to get through Maine Care. So we had the Maine Science Festival they had it this past weekend. This is meritorious science, but of course it doesn't belong at a Maine Science Festival. But I would like to ask the committee here to take charge of a probe into the people, because I don't think the city council has the competence to, and I think your committee does, to have an investigation and invite all the leaders and administrators and the lawyer reps and the advertising representatives who organized the Maine Science Festival this year and embarrassed the U.S. science, the U.S. math, and the U.S. economy sector by not inviting yours truly to present meritorious science and math. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to superintendent's proposals and updates. The first action item is the second reading of the FY24 budget. Superintendent Tager.
Thank you, Chair Hostin. I am recommending approval of the second reading of the FY24 budget, and I'd like to bring Director Jerry Heyman to review.
Good evening. I have a few things to go over before I go into the slides. So we went through the budget with the first reading at the last meeting. There was feedback thank you very much for that at the meeting, specifically to reinstate classroom supplies, instructional equipment, and a portion, thank you, and a portion of minor capital and purchase service. So I did that for you, and in the process of getting the packet ready for tonight, we noticed some omissions in the salaries, and we took care of those as well. I summarized those for you on a one-page summary. Hopefully you got that, and hopefully it was clear and concise. So the budget has changed by the amounts listed on that page summary. Tonight we'll go over it. And the hope is at the conclusion, since this is the second reading, hopefully we'll come to a passage of the budget. And if that's the case, then we'll meet our deadline by policy to present a passed budget to the city of Bangor. And we'll then participate in a joint session with them to present the budget and to discuss it on April 12th. That takes place before the next scheduled school committee. All right, enough said on that. Let me take you through the second reading. I'll be specific in areas and brief in others as we go through this. Come on. Didn't do this last time. Thank you. So the first slide you've seen a couple times before. Once again, is the comparison of the 2022 comparison of the Bangor School Department against the state of Maine averages in the categories that they prefer to look at. And once again, we're doing quite well, and we excel in our spending with regular education and special education. And this is a graphic depiction of the same numbers. So you can see most of the spending, as you suspect, is in regular education and special education. All right, so getting into the fresh numbers. This is a look at the revenue. It shows you how we're paying for the budget, or we propose to pay for it. The overall size of the budget is exactly the same as after the inclusion of the items on that sheet. And we got some really good news this morning. The state of Maine republished the support to all the schools. They found an error in their math, and they republished, and the error was actually in our favor. So I passed along those changes, and I'll go through them for you. So the first item is the required local appropriation. That number is 19,327,229. That is a change because of their error of a little over $887,000. So that's less that they say we need to spend on our schools. The second one is to fund our budget above that minimum requirement. What would we need to raise to fund our budget? And that's $7,437,005. That is the between the two, that is what we would ask the citizens of Bangor to fund through taxes. And as you can see in the dollar difference column, that increase from prior years, $1,175,513. That's less than it would have been before the error. It would have been about 74 cents on the mill rate. And after the error, it's 42 cents on a mill rate. So that's a pretty good number. Overall increase of 4.59% in that area. The next line is state aid. That's where they're going to support our schools for the set amount that they've deemed appropriate. And it's $25,853,193. And that amount increased by that $887,000 from the prior version. So that's a really good. If you recall last time, the year-to-year difference was about $884,000, and now it's over $1.7 million. So that's a really good change from the prior. The other revenue section stays the same through all the versions you've seen. Very minor changes. Towards the bottom, the second to last row is how much we're going to fund our school budget using our fund balance. It's 1.25 million. We do that every year. We fund it, and then at the end of the year, if there's excess cash, we reimburse it and then do it all over again the following year. So the total amount of the budget at the very bottom is $56 million, 58,427. And that's an increase year to year of $2,985,103. And the increase is 5.62%. If you recall the first reading where we did some cutting, the increase was down to 4.75%. We started this with our draft at 7.7%. So putting the funding back in the one-page summary increased it just under 1% from the prior version that you've seen. So the increase is 5.26%. So then the next is how we're going to spend the money. State looks at it with the budget categories listed here, from regular education, special education, all the way through facilities and debt service. Once again, you're going to see the total at $56,058,427, the same year to year difference, and the same 5.62%. The explanations changed slightly from the prior version. Only I incorporated I think the net changes were 465,000 on that summary. So they were incorporated into the various categories. And so the themes stayed the same. The themes of the night are salaries, benefits, and utilities. And I did a little analysis this morning, and I did complete salaries for the entire Bangor School Department, regardless of category. And the salaries were $32,800,000, but the increase was 3.2%. It's just a very large number. So when you get movement in salaries on a budget that large, it can look more than the percentage really tells you. Health insurance was the other big amount. The analysis, the total healthcare was $7,900,000. I budgeted 10%, and for premium increases, I won't know for another few weeks whether that's too high or too low, but I wanted to have a number in there that wouldn't be dramatically understated and put us right out of the gate in a situation where we had to do budget adjustments. So I'm hoping, maybe 5%, 6%, that would be nice, and it would help us, but I put in 10% and that's what it shows. So getting back to the categories, the biggest adjustments are salaries and insurance premiums. And I outlined just a moment ago. Special education. That increase is 816,000 year to year. And once again, it's salaries and benefits, and they account for almost all of it. The next line that's noted is other education. Under education is co-curricular and extracurricular. That increase year to year is a little over 27,000. That's a very minimal amount. Then it's student and staff support. That has a budget of 5,073,000, increase of 238,000. And once again, yes, you guessed it, salaries and benefits are the driving forces behind that. System administration has a budget of $1.5 million, but the year to year change is only $12,000. The school administration budget is $2.7 million. That actually has a decrease of $68,000. There was a position that was never filled that we just took out this year. And that's why there's a small decrease. Transportation budget of $2,080,000. That shows an $80,000 increase, which is 4% of the contract with our busing company. Facilities, a budget of $5.9 million. That one changed a little bit from the last version because of me putting back in minor capital, putting in purchase service. I also found we actually got the property insurance bill, and I noticed that our budget was 10,000 less than the actual amount we were being billed this year. I thought that was a incentive to increase the budget $10,000. So I did that as well. So those are the major components of that. And of course, our utility increases, which we've gone over 2 times already for natural gas and electricity. Debt service budget of 1.98 million. We've gone over that a couple of times, but just as a reminder, it's the increase is the result of us bonding about 6 or 7 different projects over the last 2 years since I've been here. And those bonding payments will come to pass this year. I think city will actually go out and do a sale, and as soon as they do, then the repayments start. So we needed to increase the budget. And all other is a very small budget of $108,000, and it's just a small decrease of under 4,000 for the year. So the themes are salary, benefits, utilities. Yeah. And this is a graph of those categories. And just like when we began, it's the regular education, special education are the driving forces behind the majority of our dollars. Regular education, we went over those the areas that are included in special education, from regular to alternative ed. English is a second language, gifted and talented. Special education, we've discussed that before, but that's its own entity. And unfortunately, because of the increase in students, I believe over the last year and next year, it's going to be 120, I believe, extra students, and doesn't seem to be slowing down much. So the expenses in that keep expanding because the need keeps expanding. Other instruction, the big ones are co-curricular and extracurricular in summer school, of course. And this is for a few of you to really dig into that deep, and hopefully you got the information that you wanted on that. Student and staff support is guidance library. Student assessment. Staff training, et cetera. System administration is the superintendent's office, the business office, and a portion of the assistant superintendent's office. And school administration is probably next, yes, and as you can imagine, it's the main offices, principals, assistant principals, secretaries, et cetera. Transportation is our bus companies. And facilities, operations, plant, maintenance, capital, those type of expenditures, just like you would think they would be. So us trying to do the best we can, keeping our 10 schools as up to date as possible. I think we do a fairly good job at that. Debt service is the bonds that we're going to be paying back, of course, and other education. Most of it is our transfer to food service and our community service. So it's a very small budget. So that's all on the budget categories. Does anybody have any questions on those? Yes.
Yeah, just a couple of questions so far. So the mill rate is, the increase is 42 cents on the mill rate.
If the budget doesn't, if it's passed as presented,
Okay.
yes.
And so what would that translate to on $100,000 home? I can never remember this formula.
So 42 cents times 100.
So 4,200,
So that's what, $42?
$42 on a $100,000 home
Yes.
per year.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And then on page 19, special ed,
Yes.
a couple of questions there. So purchase services is going down. Can you tell us what constitutes that category?
Let me find it. Unfortunately, our special ed expert is not here tonight. Off the top of my head, I do not want to guess to the specifics. I would have to look that up and get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
But in general, purchase services are services from a company or a person that's sort of highly qualified that needs to be so in the facilities area, it'd be, the engineers and the construction firms, et cetera. So in special ed, I believe it would be the experts in providing the services needed.
Okay, so that might be a psychologist, for example, since we
Could be psychologist, speech therapist, OT,
people that we
PT.
contract out
Yep.
with. Okay. And then a little bit down from there, tuition to the regional program.
Yep.
A 52% increase there.
Yep.
And I guess this might be a question more for Christy, but yeah, I'm just wondering what
So
behind
that's
that.
paying tuition for students that need services outside of the Bangor School Department, such as the Bangor Regional Center or Kids Peace or something of that nature. So it's outside of the budget you're approving, but it's where the child needs to be to receive the services.
Mhm.
So
So
we
this
have to
Payments to them.
pay them.
Mhm.
So what I believe she's saying here is since it's going up, she anticipates those needs to increase.
Okay. Okay, those are my questions. I'll save my comments for later, so.
Okay.
Thank-
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion, please?
Well, I
Oh.
have a ways to
Oh, you
go.
have- oh, sorry. Get to it.
Everybody wishes I was done, but I'm not.
Sorry, Jerry.
It's okay. So the next slide is the same expenses broken out by the way we typically think about our budget is by school. And other things like maintenance and special ed and technology, et cetera. So it's comes down to the same total, the same 56,058,427, the same year to year increase in the same percentage. But it's done on a school by school basis. And we I tried to have extensive notes in your packet, not in the slides. I did probably 2.5 pages of notes by each section. So hopefully the explanations will be similar because they will go back to salaries and benefits and utilities in almost every case. But if you have a specific area that you would like me to address, I will. The special education here is exactly the same as it was on the budget category that the state has us do. So that's the exact same number. But the other ones are divvied up by the areas that you see on the left-hand side. So if you're satisfied with that, we'll move on. So this one changed because of what the state did this morning. So the column on the left, which is the state revenue, went up by that $887,000. And the column on the right, the amount needed by local revenue, went down by $887,000. So that was a very nice email to see this first thing this morning. But it did cause a lot of work, and it caused me to send out slides late in the day. I think we sent you 4 or 5 replacement slides, and this was one of them that I'd done the packet, and we sent it on Monday, but we had to kind of redo it. And because of the state's addition, our slope on this graph is more steep. So this is the state subsidy year after year, and it's been on a great trajectory over the last 10 or so years. What I like to see. And because of what they did this morning, if you recall, the last time this graph had a small dip at the end, because we were to have to fund more money with local funds because of the switch. It once again is it's not a steep incline, but it's going up again, and there's no more dip at the end. So that was nice. And we included the a slide for charter schools. We started this back when charter schools came on board. It was a request of the superintendent at that time. If this is still something that you feel you want to see year after year, I will gladly put it together every year. I think I told you last time that there's 2 less charter schools than there were in the past. So we're down to, I believe it's 9 or 10 now. And still have the mill rate wrong. Oh, apologize. Your packet's right. This one's wrong. Thought we had it changed out. But the mill rate that I believe we commented on last time in your packet would be for the year 22-23. And it's the one Ben, I think you commented on that. Bangor was kind of in the middle, and there was 3 or 4 other schools that were above us, or towns that are above us. So you have the right one in your packet. Then we have a couple of pie graphs that shows the expenditures from last year. And if you do it quickly, well, not that quickly. They change slightly year to year, but overall, they're never really going to stray away from regular education and special education. It's always going to be the two largest pieces of the pie. Next comes the articles. We're going to get back to those. We're going to sort of end the packet on those. But I wanted to show you briefly something we always include in the budget. It's our 5-year capital plan. It's put together by our engineering plan and our maintenance department and in conjunction with our principals. It's a 5-year plan. It has some background that you may find interested in, the size and the age of the schools. Has several pages starting here of past major projects. So you can see our recent history of major capital projects that we've undertaken. And you can see that the year 21 and 22, we've really started to ramp up our capital projects. That those lists have gotten quite large compared to the other years. And then it takes it school by school. So what it does is it rates the projects in the left-hand column of each page, P1 to P5. That's just basically year 1 to year 5. If you have the funds, they're trying to rate the projects in the order of need. And we try to look at this list every year with the funds that we do have available, usually at the end of the year, and we do what we can. And so please take your time and look over the list. It's obviously 10 plus pages long, school to school. It's many millions of dollars in total. There's no way we could possibly borrow enough or have enough in our operating budget to do these projects, but we do borrow, of course. We talked about that a little while ago, and we do spend money out of our operating money at the end if it's available. So please feel free to look over the pending projects and send me an email if you would like to discuss them further, because I love talking about capital projects. So let's get back to the articles. So the articles are, after I take any additional questions, so what we hope to accomplish at the end, if the current budget as proposed to you tonight is acceptable, then the articles break that budget up into pieces that each have to be voted on individually. I believe there's 13 of them. And if we get to that point, I'll read them off and then we'll vote on each one. And if successful at the end, we'll have a passed budget. But first, I'll answer any questions that you may have on the budget before I start reading off and asking you to consider and vote.
So I'm confused a bit, because do I ask for a motion and pass the budget and then do that, or we're
No.
doing it all at once?
We do the articles individually,
Okay.
and by doing that,
Then
you've passed the
okay,
budget.
got it.
Because one of the articles is the budget in total.
Okay, perfect.
towards
So
the-
questions now or
Yes.
comments prior to voting. So member Surratt and then member Mundell.
Thank you. And first, Jerry, I want to say, thank you. I appreciate all the work you've done. And I was pleased to see money put back into the budget for minor capital, classroom supplies and equipment. With that said, I do still have a certain level of, or it's actually a new level of discomfort voting yes for this budget. And it's really because of very new information that has come to us in just the last few hours. And I oftentimes think of a budget as a puzzle, and there's a lot of pieces, and you want all those pieces ahead of time to do two things, really: create a budget that prioritizes the needs of our students, the needs of our schools, the needs of our families, the needs of our teachers and staff, And then a second priority of thinking of what will be the impact of that budget on the city side of, or on the city budget. And we received a big puzzle piece today, about a $900,000 puzzle piece. And I really, and I'd be interested what my colleagues think, but my hope is that we can put off voting on the budget this evening, potentially voting on it next week if possible, so that we have time to really think about the implications of this very new information and this $900,000 and what we could potentially do with that $900,000. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with you, members rep, 100%. I have some concerns about the budget. Well, first of all, thank you for all the work that you're doing. I know you've had to go through this a few times, and I appreciate your attention to detail with all this. I think two sort of categories of concerns for me. One is the process that we're going through, and one is on some of the content of the budget. So, we've had this budget for 11 days. And, this is my third time going through this. I think I'm finally kind of understanding what I'm doing, a little bit. But we got the first reading on a Monday and we had to vote on it on a Wednesday. We got the second reading on a Monday and we had to vote on it. We're having to vote on it tonight. I know, I'm not alone. I think most of us work full time, during the day. We take care of kids at night. So I've personally, the ethics code that we signed, one of the things we swore to is that I will make decisions only after all facts bearing on a question have been presented and discussed. So I personally don't feel prepared to vote for this budget yet because I still have a lot of questions. And since Director Babin's not here, I'm kind of doubtful that my questions will be answered. And I think also, another piece of the ethics code is, we will at all times think of children first and base our decisions on how they will affect the child and the child's education and training. There's nothing in the ethics code about putting the needs of taxpayers first, although of course we want to keep them in mind. But I think we need to, our job is to take care of the kids, and put out a budget that reflects our care for these kids. So that's just kind of a process issue that I have trouble with, which is just the rushed nature of this. And I think I'm feeling it this time, maybe because I'm able to understand the process a bit more and how complicated it is. So then I've been hearing over the past week, I guess, maybe a little bit longer. Well, I've been hearing it longer, but over the past week, especially, I've been hearing from a lot of teachers, and these teachers aren't comfortable coming directly to me, but they are coming, and it's leading me to believe that there's a big disconnect between what we're hearing from administration regarding, especially special ed support services, multilingual learners, and what's actually happening in the schools. And, it strikes me that we are approving a budget and we have not heard from teachers. We haven't heard from the unions. I think we're hearing directly from administration. But the whole time that I've been on school committee, I've never heard from the union about their concerns. And so what's coming to me, and I don't know about other members, but I'm hearing a lot of distress among teachers who are working with kids with special needs. And one of the words was, "We're drowning." Teachers are crying in the halls. Morale is at an all-time low. They need help. And so when I see purchase services under special ed going down 33%, and I see that we're sending more tuition to Bangor Regional, which suggests to me that maybe we're not, we don't have the staff to serve those kids. I'm really concerned. And so I was heartened to see that $900,000 come in. And I think we really need to be creative about what we do. I know we're short-staffed in special ed, but we got to be creative about getting those positions filled. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm just not comfortable with this at this point.
I see member Luciano's hand is up and then member Jandro.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to just echo the first several sets of comments. Something as substantial as 885,000 or whatever it is, it's a very large number for a district of our size. And I would really be remiss to vote on a budget that had such a big change at such a last minute. And I just want to echo the comments of my fellow members, but I really don't feel like we can, I personally cannot in good faith vote for this budget tonight.
Thank you, member Luciano. Member Jandro.
And Jerry, again, thank you. And thanks to everybody. I know that we're all sitting here with our questions and really dreading another night of budget reading, right? But I think that it's important that we take a step back and really do evaluate how that $900,000 affects the overall budget picture. And again, the way that we have not heard from the teachers, right? But for those of us who are active in the school, those of us who are there, we do see the teachers who are overwhelmed, especially in the special needs and the resource rooms and our ed techs. And if anybody thinks that there isn't an issue of burnout within our staff, I think that that's something that we need to really open our eyes to and think about it. We want to keep the good teachers that we have. We want to make sure that they have the resources that they need. We're hearing from the leader of the Multicultural Center that we can look at an influx of students who are going to need some assistance with their language learning. Jerry, you've pointed out and others have pointed out, we are going to have an influx in the number of students with special needs in the coming year and probably even more in the years to come. And I said it last week, I'll say it again, I'm all for doing more, but I'm not all for doing more with less support. I'm all for doing more with more support. So I think that if we can find a creative use to use that $900,000 to our advantage, I think to quote Sarah, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I think she said we need to be careful that we're not penny wise, pound foolish with this additional funding, that we are doing a disservice to the students. And to echo Member Mundell, that's our first priority, is to make sure that the students, really the students who need the most support, are getting that support. We've just talked about equitable access to education and making sure that we're providing that. How do we do that if we're offering less? So I looked at this number, the increase here of 1,175,512 after a year of a 500,000 dip and a $0 increase in the budget. This is really, it's not an extra investment in the school. We've had a couple flat years, and this doesn't seem like it's on par with increased services, especially when we take into consider inflation. So that's a long-winded way of saying, I think we're on the right track, but I too think we need a little bit more time to digest all of the different elements. And if there is a way for us to hear from the teachers union and hear directly from them what their concerns are, it would make me more comfortable in the voting on it.
Member Sorg.
Yes. Is it possible, Jerry, that, first of all, I want to say thank you. You did a great job. Numbers are very hard and it's very difficult to explain where all the money is going all the time. Could you give us an idea where that $900,000 would be going at this time, or is it just absorbed into the general budget?
The way we constructed the budget that's presented to you tonight, we took the extra funding and reduced the amount that we were asking or would ask the citizens of Bangor to raise through taxation. So if I would have done nothing, if I hadn't got that email at 10 o'clock this morning, so that's when we all got it in the state of Maine, the increase would have been 70 something cents on the mill rate, with that $887,000, applying it to reduce the amount that we would ask the taxpayers, it would go down to 42 cents.
Is it possible to apply as we absorb this money coming in to keep the budget at a nice steady level that it's at? Is it possible to, I'm struggling with it also because I have never, in the 9 years I've been on this board, invited the teachers union to discuss the budget. That was done with the superintendent and the administrators. So I think you may be opening, it's a suggestion, yes, you may be opening a door that you might want to hold on to for a minute and think through this whole process a little bit longer. Okay, it should, if the teachers have problems, it should have gone to the administrators or to Mr. Tager. Okay, that's the proper channels to follow. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. I know many people have said things to me the last year and I go, okay, so I pass it on to the proper channel, and that's the way it should be. The budget, I like it at 56 million. To say that we don't need more money in special education, and remember what was told to us last year by Dr. Rogers when he retired. Yes, we are going to need to foot the budget. The expense of sending kids, when you send a child to the Bangor Regional Program, it's because we do not have the ability to deal with that child in the public school at this time. That's why they're out there. And yes, it does cost us money, cost every school in the district money to go there. Even if you sent them to Stillwater Academy for severe autism, it's what, 60,000 or 65,000 now a year? That's because we don't have the ability here in the public schools to handle children with that severe difficulty. I know when we're working with kids with autism, some of our severe students with autism have terrible emotional behaviors as well. To put them in the regular classroom or even in some of our special needs programs, we don't have the facility to handle their problems, nor do our staff have that specialized training that takes years to get at the university. Because I've been there, done that for 18 years in the school department and done it here as a school board member. I like the budget at 56 million. Does it answer all our needs? No. I have never seen a budget that has answered all our needs. Okay. So I guess my question is to seeing, we absorbed it as reducing the bill to the taxpayers.
That is correct.
Okay. And other people would like us seeing us to put that money towards the students. Okay. My feeling is the taxpayers are the parents of our students. So it raises a question for me. It's a vicious circle for me. Okay.
Do you want to speak up?
I can answer Member Mundell's question about the reduction. There were some open positions that had been contracted out, and it appears that we're going to be able to fill them. So, for example, possibly a psychologist that had been contracted out would be hired under contract with the Bangor School Department. So that would go under our salaries? And that would go under our salary and benefits. And then the increase in the out of placement is what we are seeing a larger number of students who have severe needs, as Member Sword said, and the capacity to address it is more challenging than they could be put out of the placement.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of questions there, but I hope that helped answer.
That does help.
We're losing people. It's like we're putting the money for those services.
So, okay, so the psychologist who's going to be employed by the district,
Yes.
that's great. I'm glad to hear that. So is that in the budget currently
It
as
is.
it stands?
It
It's
is.
under salaries
It is.
and benefits. Okay,
It's all actually a cost savings to have somebody inside as opposed to
right.
contracting out.
Yeah, I would imagine. Okay. Okay.
Member Sprague. And hold on a second. Member Luciano, I know that you had your hand up, but you took it down. Are you good?
I'm
Okay.
good, thank you.
You're welcome, Member Sprague.
Okay. I echo the words of thanks. No one likes extra meetings less than I do, so I'm just gonna throw that out there. But we're also not pushing any like regulatory deadline on this, right? So I don't totally dislike the second reading of the budget here, but it is a huge variable to have a difference of $900,000 on the day that we're going to be voting on it. So I think out of respect for all the comments people have made, we should just bump this 1 week maybe, or to the next meeting. And maybe we should even workshop it before. Again, there's no reason. This is a healthy discussion. I think everybody's pretty amicable here, and we are all trying to get at the best budget possible here. I did just want to say that it's not that the school budget has been
unfunded the last couple of years. It's that in the previous couple of years, the state contribution was a lot higher. So the local taxpayer contribution had to be less. But it's not that we've been like holding back artificially over the last few years. It's just kind of the accounting difference between the state revenues. But just the simple variable of the math change from Augusta does change the conversation, I think. So
I think you're right. You know, we got it today. So I know a lot of people were panicking, you know, that we have to vote on it today. I think it's unfair to us because it puts a lot of pressure and it's not your fault, obviously. So with that, I do propose to have one more day. And I love the idea of a workshop prior to April 12th, if we may.
Yep, I'll take a look at, see if there's a date maybe next week where
Sure.
we could workshop and then take a vote at that time. I do want to make a couple comments, though. I think that, you know, this is new information, so I understand what each of you are saying, but I also want to at the same time reiterate that and thank Director Heyman, because he's done a really good job with this based on when we've received the information. I mean, it's a little unusual. When we received the email, I first looked at it, to be perfectly honest, and thought, oh, did we just lose money? Then after reading through it, oh, we gained, and it's close to $900,000. But at the same time, I want to say that I think Jerry has really listened well, because we put out a budget, and then you all asked us, you know, we looked at it and reduced it some, and then you said, can you put some things back in? And we did. So I feel like, you know, Jerry, you've really done a nice job of listening back and forth. One issue I do want to address is we have very good principals, and I count on each one of them to tell us what they need in their buildings. And just to kind of reiterate, we met with all of them individually. We met with all of the directors. We met with Kathy, and we met with Christy, and we've all had conversations to hear what their budget needs were. Now, I know you all as school committee members have your constituents that talk to you, but I would suggest, if you're hearing from teachers that they have conversations with their principal or myself, and we deal with that information, I think it's really probably a poor precedent to set to bring unions in when you have to negotiate their salaries, and that's coming up next year. So I just want to put that on the table. If you get information that you want to share with me for considerations on the budget, I'm happy to take it. I suggest teachers talk to their building level principals too, because I do count on our principals. They have an important job to do. They work hard at it. And I think I would never take that away from them. So I'm asking that if there are concerns with the budget for that 900,000, that you communicate those clear to Jerry and myself. I mean, it's a lot of money, and then it's not a lot of money when you look at some of the positions that you may be thinking about. So I think that, I don't know if you want that discussion tonight or you want to think about it. Be sending me your suggestions, have teachers talk to their building principals, and we'll set a meeting. We'll shoot for next week to have a workshop, and then hopefully get through our second reading, Jerry. And now if we had to wait 2 weeks out, we would, but let me look at scheduling and we'll get with you tomorrow.
We can't wait 2 weeks out.
That's where I was going. Yeah.
By policy, I believe it's on Monday, the April 10th, that we need to hand a budget to the city of Bangor. And then 2 days later, we'll discuss it with them.
Okay,
So this is not we have a little time, but not a lot of time.
okay. Member Sorg, I'm going to take a motion to extend. Yes, to extend. So can I get a motion, please, to extend this to next week sometime?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all roll call. Member Luciano,
Yes.
member Surratt, member Sorg,
Yes.
member Mundell,
Yes.
member Sprague,
yes.
member Jandro,
Yes.
and yes for me.
Okay, that passes 7-0. And once again, I just like to reiterate that if you have ideas or are hearing ideas, get that to us as soon as you can, because I don't want to sit down next week and then punt this out again, because we're kind of getting to the timeline at this point. So we will solve this next week.
And as you can see by the turnaround, there's two of us that do this budget. It's not an instantaneous event. So I do need a few days to incorporate whatever new changes you present to me into a budget. So I can then bring it back for the second reading. So
I'll talk with our principals. I'll talk with our special ed director in particular, but if you have something, get it to us by Friday.
and we'll have to somehow agree on those are the changes we're putting back in. So I'm doing the consensus of the committee. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
Yep.
We appreciate it. Okay, so moving on to business action items, we have one action item, which are the minutes for the regular meeting of March 22, 2023.
Thank you, Chair Austin. I'm recommending approval. I'm recommending approval of the draft minutes of the March 22nd, 2023 regular school committee meeting.
Any questions or discussion? No? Member Luciano?
Yes.
Member Surratt?
Yes.
Member Sorg? Member Mandel?
Yes.
Member Sprague?
Yes.
Member John Drow?
Yes.
And yes for me.
Passes 7-0. Thank you.
Next, we have personnel. We have administrator and continuing contracts.
I'm nominating for committee approval and election the following administrator nominees for the continuing contract from July 1, 2023 to June 30, 2025. Daniel Mayo, Director, Bangor Regional Program, Shannon Shaw, Principal, Abraham Lincoln School, and Sarah Vickers, Principal, Downey School.
Motion, please.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? No? Member Luciano?
Yes.
Member Surratt?
Yes.
Member Sorg? Member Mandel?
Yes.
And Member Sprague?
Yes.
Member John Drow?
Yes.
And yes for me. Congratulations.
Thank you. 7-0.
Next, we have extra duty assignments.
I'm recommending approval of the following extra duty assignments for the school year 2022-2023. John Holyoke, 0.5 Assistant Spring Track Coach, Bangor High School. Dominic Lazat, 0.5 Assistant Spring Track Coach, Bangor High School.
Motion, please. Any questions or discussion? No, seeing none. Member Luciano?
Yes.
Member Surratt? Member Sorg?
Yes.
Member Mandel?
Yes.
Member Sprague?
Yes.
Member John Drow?
Yes.
And yes for me.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, committee updates. Any comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, let's move on to representatives' reports. Do we have any? Yeah, Member Mandel.
Yeah, the mental health committee met, when was it?
Thursday.
Thursday. Thank you, Sarah. I won't go into too much detail, but we basically just kind of got set up for the rest of the semester. Director Bavin gave us a review of progress that's been made since last year, including the administration of the Maine Integrated Youth Health Survey, and the data she said would be coming out later in the spring. So we'll look forward to seeing that data. And we're going to get together again in April to figure out what is next for us. So
Thank you. Any other committee? No? Let's get a student committee member update. Member Sada?
Thank you. For many of us, this is a very busy and stressful time of year. But, seniors are hearing back from colleges this time of year, and they're trying to make decisions on where to go. Spring sports have started up, and student athletes have completed impact testing, and they're doing tryouts throughout these couple weeks. Also, a reminder that tomorrow at the high school, there's a spaghetti dinner at 5 p.m., the open house at 6, and the spring play at 7. In addition, there's a orchestra spring concert for the district-wide on April 11th. And I think that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have information items, several important dates. We have Wednesday, April 12th, 2023, our city council workshop at 6 p.m. and then our regular meeting, 7 p.m. council chambers. Wednesday, April 26th, a regular meeting, 7 p.m. council chambers. Wednesday, May 10th, regular meeting, 7 p.m. council chambers. Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 school committee members retreat from 8:30 to 12:30 in Camp Jordan. And Wednesday, May 24th, another regular meeting, 7 PM, council chambers. Any final questions or comments from the committee? Member Mundell.
Yeah, just to clarify, Carolyn, the play is Friday and Saturday as well, I think, is that right? Yeah, so Friday and Saturday at 7. It's exciting for our performing arts students, so.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? No? Seeing none, adjournment. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Member Luciano,
Yes.
member Surratt. Member Sorg. Member Mundell.
Yes.
Member Sprague.
Yes.
Member John
Yes.
and yes for me.